You said on your show that their season, the Lakers, ended last weekend, but the series isn't over.
Yeah.
How would you explain that? How would they still be
So
alive for
listen,
this
I
series?
I think I actually think they can win the series. They obviously need a lot of things to break their way. The reason
Right.
I said the season's over, and I mean it, is because the goal of the season was to make the finals and win the championship. And they had a very narrow path to doing that. And one of the parts of that path was winning in round one in short order and definitively not letting round one go seven. Now it's going to take a heroic effort just to get out of round one in seven. But here's the problem, Demonze. Starting tomorrow, best case scenario for the Lakers, they play on the following dates: April 30th, May 2nd, May 4th, May 6th, May 8th, May 10th, May 12th, May 14th, May 16th, May 18th, May 20th, May 22nd, May 24th, May 26th, May 28th, May 30th. Fifth,
Yeah.
their best case scenario, and I guess really technically the best case scenario is some of those games are clipped out because they get out of this round and then win in round two quickly. That's so, but
Yeah.
that's now we're not really talking realistic scenarios. The point is, round one was the only round with extra time between games, and you could get that in round two if you win your round one series early. But none of that is happening. And now they are on starting tomorrow and every other day until the season ends trajectory. And that's hard enough to win when the guy who's playing the best for you on your team is 40 years old and it's 70,000 minutes. It is impossible to win when the guy who's playing the best of anyone on your team is 40 years old at 70,000 minutes, and the coach has made it very clear to the team and the entire world, there's 5 guys on this team I even want to let look me in the eye. I mean, that was the other piece of it. Like to show that little faith in the rest of your squad that early in the playoffs is, I just don't know that you can come back from it. And so that's why I said the season's over. Now, I think they'll win tomorrow. I think you and I will be on here Thursday coming off a Lakers win and discussing, well, if they can just win Friday in Minnesota, where they had opportunities to win both of the previous two, then you have a game 7 in Los Angeles, and I'll talk myself into it. There's no question about it.
Yeah, of course.
Especially given the level LeBron is playing, because what was supposed to be the question going into these playoffs was more about what level would LeBron be at. Instead, he's 26, 10, and 8 with the best defense on the team. He's been, by the advanced numbers, the best rim protector in the NBA these playoffs. He's just played 46 minutes and had the energy on defense, didn't have it on offense at the end. So he's been, and now he's going to have 2 days. So he's been excellent. And I'll talk myself into that Luka's going to get, back to true Luka form. But I just don't think they have enough bodies. And it is true that from a narrative and infuriating media cycle perspective, and folks that, take pleasure in my pain, we are potentially staring down the barrel at, from annoying and infuriating narrative perspective, of a worst case scenario, which is somehow a LeBron / Luka masterpiece over these next 3 games serves them up dead, tired, and exhausted to a fresh, rested Warriors team coming off a 5-game beating of Houston. And then we get Steph, LeBron in round 2. And folks in that series will, of course, pretend that we didn't get Steph, LeBron in round 2 years ago when folks acted like big stakes on this series. Oh, it's finally a fair fight. And then if you remember, that series culminated in Steph falling down at midcourt, then throwing the ball backwards over his head out of bounds in the deciding game, and the Lakers cruising. Everyone will pretend as if that didn't happen, and this is the newest referendum. I would not enjoy those basketball games. I'll tell you that much right now. And the Lakers have put themselves in a position now with the assistance of Jalen Green and some great Warriors play that we talked earlier, of that being the scenario we're looking at. The best case scenario coming in was the opposite, of course. The Lakers handle business, beat Minnesota in 5 or 6. The Warriors have a 7-game war with Houston, and this is why playoff basketball is so great. We're like 3 possessions away from that being the case. LeBron's masterpiece, 38 points in game 3. If Luka just has anything in the tank, they have that. They have a double-digit lead in game 4. And they have the ball up 2 with a minute left. Everything goes wrong from there, that point forward. That's between Lakers being down 3-1 and up 3-1. And last night, how many opportunities did Houston have? Most notably, just Şengün's shot at the end for that series to be 2-2. But that's the playoffs, man. The Clippers were 100th of a second away from planning for Oklahoma City, and now they kind of know deep down we're going to be playing a Game 7 at altitude in Denver where the best player in the world's on the other team. It's just unbelievable. All right, go ahead.
It's Şengün.
Yeah. So
Chris is saying,
I can't believe that no one has gotten to Reggie about this. You are sitting next to Kevin Harlan. He is calling him Şengün. He's the best player on the Rockets. He's their only all-star. His name is Şengün. If you were going to mispronounce it because it's an international name and you were just going to do it the way it's spelled, that would be Şengün. There is no A in the name. You are calling the NBA playoffs. You are saying his name 50 times, and you won't stop calling him Şengün.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It is beyond baffling. Beyond baffling.
I've gotten hip to your Reggie Miller take. I was telling Daniel earlier. I've been listening to him. He can be a little.
He's
annoying.
unbearable.
He can be a little annoying. 100%.
I mean, I can't.
I don't know if you noticed yesterday, but Draymond was like, he was doing his antics the entire game, and then he goes over to apologize, and Reggie Miller was like, "Yeah, real vet move by him," and it's like, he's been acting like a jackass the entire time.
I can't. It is the combination of people tweet to me. They're like, "Why do you dislike Reggie Miller?" It's nothing personal. It's just I love NBA basketball. He is the #1 color commentator on one of the top broadcasts. He has been involved in a disproportionate amount of my favorite sports moments. and I'm sorry to be a jerk, I don't mean to, he's never made a single one of them better. And it's like, you can be like, okay, it's just different styles, so be it. No problem. You got to pronounce the players' names right. Like, it's just a level. It's whatever. All right, let's keep moving. We can do some follow-ups here.
Yeah, so the last 2-minute report came out, and it said that Luka should have gotten a foul called on him, or not on him. McDaniels should have gotten a foul called on him because he tripped Luka. Do you think that this swung the game more than JJ deciding to play the starting five?
Well, listen, if they get that foul call, assuming Luka makes both, which you don't know for sure, the Lakers are up 1 with 35 seconds left. I am pretty consistent on this. Complaining about officiating's for losers. And be better. You like to think eventually it'll even out. I'll be honest, I was more annoyed by the NBA breaking out the 5,000 millimeters Zapruder camera to find the foul on LeBron than I was them not calling the trip. Like, that was frustrating. But where I'm consistent on that is I just don't like replay in sports in general. I think it has made sports worse. But that's another argument for another day. The worst missed call the refs had in that game was the kick ball out of bounds on the sideline that would have been Lakers ball with 14 on the clock. Instead, they called a shot clock violation, but whatever. Like, be better. So I'm not going to, and I understand the last 2-minute report said what it said. I didn't think that was an egregious missed call. That was borderline. Lucas stepped on his foot. He did stick his foot out. That was whatever. Be better. And LeBron's got to inbound that ball better. So I'm not going to blame refs. I don't. It's not my thing.
In the reviewing situation, I think the time has to be cut down. That's one thing Reggie Miller is 100% correct on. That game yesterday, I mean, I think there was 10 minutes of them reviewing a play in Golden State versus Rockets.
This is a rant for the offseason, but if you can't figure it out within 30 seconds, the call on the floor stands.
Stands, right? Yeah.
And the only scenario where I am okay with them taking all the time they need is the Clippers-Nuggets scenario, where it's game over or not game over. Right. Because that is what nobody ever talks about when it comes to these replays and reviews is fatigue and conditioning being a part of sports, and that it should benefit the better conditioned team. And so the long replays and reviews skews the fair outcome, with the one exception of something like Clippers-Nuggets, where it's literally the last play of the game. Like, that to me is a different situation. Everything else, it was put in place so you could get obvious mistakes right. Not so, we called this an out of bounds, but it turns out when we take the camera from the drone at the ceiling and zoom in black and white, we see, give me a break. Okay, let's do the last follow-up here about Ant.
So last year, everybody thought Ant was taking the big leap. He had a lot of traction saying he was going to be the face of the league, but that kind of died off after the Western Conference Finals. Do we think that this is a real deal? He's walking down some
Well, listen, what's definitely a real deal is he's been the best player in this series. And that's a series with peak Luka, it's supposed to be, and LeBron in the playoffs, who will always just be great. And that's remarkable. It's also real that he's 23 years old. He's knocked Kevin Durant and Devin Booker out of the playoffs. He's knocked Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray out of the playoffs. He is a game away from knocking Luka and LeBron out of the playoffs. And then he's going to have a chance to knock Steph out of the playoffs. That's the path. And now our resident Nuggets fan, Daniel, who is a really, really sharp guy and a great producer, but has a blind spot for his team, writes in, didn't Jokic knock Ant, Durant, and LeBron out? Yes, Daniel. And that's how he became known as the best player in the league. Yes, he did. And that's why we are now talking about if Ant were to do something similar, what it would mean for him. I get it. You are correct, sir. And so
it's like, my bad.
And Ant, listen, the conversation that is starting with Ant, and fair is fair.
Oh.
Is he, the conversation that's starting is he better than Luka? And Perk flat out said he is. Listen, I would still rather have Luka. However, and I don't think we can be so prisoner of the moment-y where Luka drastically outplays him and beats him in the conference finals a year ago. And that means nothing if the opposite then happens in the playoffs this year. That just means they're 1-1. However, this year, Ant's game has jumped and Luka's didn't. And, Ant is a dominant two-way player. Like, he is. I don't know if it's Luka dropping a tier for the time being or Ant rising a tier, or it's a little bit of both. But that is a fair discussion.
I mean, when you bake in the defense with Anthony Edwards, I think is probably, I don't know what Kendrick Perkins was talking about or what his points were, but
yeah.
I think when you factor in the fact that Ant plays actual defense and he can probably average the same amount of points that Luka can.
Well, that's the thing is he hasn't shown he can average the same amount of points as Luka can. And he's never been close to the passer Luka's been. So Luka is, he hasn't been in this series, but Luka is the more well-rounded, better offensive
right, this isn't
player.
Luka's best series
but,
as well. Right.
And so there's just, but it is, listen, the playoffs and the games and the results have to matter. And so, he is making a claim, and we'll see how far he can push this thing.